Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Strong Against the Odds podcast. Today's episode is going to be about Crohn's disease. What is Crohn's disease? How it's diagnosed? Symptoms, treatments. So, let's get started. First off, what is Crohn's disease, you might ask? Well, Crohn's disease is an autoimmune disease that attacks your digestive system, your gut. It's a form of irritable bowel disease, which means that your immune system sees anything you eat as foreign and it attacks, um and with that you'll have these symptoms: stomach pain, really bad stomach pain, unintentional weight loss, diarrhea, or like frequently going to the bathroom, and abdominal distension, which means your stomach's swollen full of gas and stuff. So out of those symptoms, the ones that I experienced was, and I still kind of experience one of them, is unexplained weight loss and diarrhea with frequent bathroom breaks. Those are the two that really got me to get a diagnosis of Crohn's. But I'll do more of my story, more in depth, in a later video. So, what some other things that it can cause? Well, it can lead you to have anemia, low blood count, because with the inflammation in your gut and stuff, you can pass blood and things like that, and you don't even know because it's hard to see it. So you have that. Skin rashes, just random little rashes you can have. That's why we are recommended to go see a dermatologist as well. Arthritis, joint pain, stuff like that. And then eye inflammation. And those are easily treatable. Now, you have some of those symptoms, right? So, who or what type of doctor should you see if you have any of these issues? Especially the symptoms of the weight loss, diarrhea, pain in stomach. You want to go first to your primary care, get a referral if needed, or you can just go straight to a gastroenterologist, which specializes in your gut, your colon, your stomach, all that stuff. And what they might do is do these following tests to find inflammation or inflammation markers. And those include a colonoscopy, imaging, such as a CT scan, MRI. I'm not sure about x-rays. They could do x-rays too. We can just put that in there. Stool samples to check for blood and stool. You got inflammation markers in your stool and stuff, and then blood test also will have inflammation markers. There's a test for that as well. A colonoscopy, if I didn't mention that. Colonoscopies are a tough one, yes, but it's worth getting a diagnosis because then you can start on treatments very quickly. Colonoscopy is my recommendation to advocate for if you feel like you have Crohn's disease, because the longer you wait, the worse you can get. So, but yeah, those other things are good. Some of them can, they'll come back in a couple of days, and that's fine. But you want to try and get a diagnosis as quick as possible. So, what are some of the treatments that one with Crohn's disease may endure? They include some anti inflammatories, some biologics, and some immunosuppressants. Now, the anti inflammatory basically will just calm down the inflammation and kind of get you, how you say, somewhat regular. Um, Immunosuppressants will lower your immune system because it is an autoimmune disease and your immune system will attack your gut. So we get put on immunosuppressants so that way we can keep our immune system at bay. But there is risk with being on immunosuppressants. You gotta be on top of your health. You gotta make sure that you stay healthy and you wash your hands frequently and you try not to be around sick people if you can help it, because your immune system can get so low that anything you can get can maybe put you in a hospital. So you kind of want to be sure you stay healthy and go to doctors when needed and don't hold off on any kind of treatment that you may need. And then the last one is, I think, one of the most commonly used types of medication for Crohn's is biologics. And biologics is kind of like a two-in-one. In my opinion, it's like an anti-inflammatory yet immunosuppressant. And it kind of does it, you know, all in one go. So I'm pretty sure I'm on a biologic. I am currently taking Entyvio and methotrexate. My methotrexate is given weekly by a shot, and Entyvio is given to me every 6 weeks by infusion. It could also be every 8 weeks, but we're doing 6 weeks for me. Enough about that. Here, there are some other medications that are used. Skyrizi is injectable, self-inject, like an EpiPen. Tremfya is also another EpiPen type self-injected medication. Humira is self-inject, and I think they also came out with an infusion type of Humira. And then Remicade is another one. Um, so those are like the common medications that are used to keep our symptoms of Crohn's at bay. There is no cure for Crohn's, but these medicines keeps us at bay so we can manage our symptoms so we can live life normally. And just not have to live with the what if. Because for a couple of years, you know, in my journey, I was living like that hard. Like, what ifs? What if? What if this happens and I'm on the road? Or, you know, living with Crohn's disease is hard, to say the least, because you don't know when you're going to have a flare up. No. Um, when you're going to have to go to the bathroom, because it'll happen sporadically. And it's like you got to make sure you're near a bathroom at all times, because things can happen. Because after you eat, what happens? Your immune system attacks the food, attacks your gut, it's digesting, and you just go, it just goes straight out. So it's like you got to plan around things, and that's hard to do when you have Crohn's disease, because it's an unpredictable disease to have. And I'm lucky I haven't had super major issues with it. But like I said, my story will come later and I'll go do the whole spiel of everything. This is just kind of like an introduction. So let's wrap this up by recapping some of the stuff that was talked about. So we talked about some of the symptoms, which is like weight loss, diarrhea, stomach pain. You can also incur anemia, skin rashes, arthritis, eye inflammation, things like that. Um, there are forming tests that are needed for finding inflammation, blood tests, stool tests, imaging, colonoscopy. Um, you have to make sure you see a gastroenterologist, and from there, they will lead you to any other doctors you may need to make sure you don't get worse or treat something like the skin rashes or anemia. Like, you can make sure that you go to a doctor if they can help you with those kind of things. And then the treatments are anti-inflammatories, biologics, and immunosuppressants, which help inflammation, keeps our immune system low to the point where we can actually process food and let the food get into our bodies instead of just going straight through and not having any nourishment from what we eat. And lastly, we talked about the different kinds of biologics that are used. I'm not really familiar with immunosuppressants and anti-inflammatory medicines, but I'll look them up and I'll mention them in another video. But there's Skyrizi, Entyvio, Tremfya, Humira, Remicade. A couple of those are infusions, others are self-inject, and they will help keep our symptoms at bay so that way we can live not life as normal as possible. Until next week, peace out. You can follow me. Please, I'm on Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, pocketcast. Find me. Leave me a comment if you feel like you want to share anything, and see you guys next week.